Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for a squat and deadlift day. And so today I decided to go ahead and show you guys my warm-ups. I did do one warm-up rep off camera. I'm just going to disclose that because again, people are always like, you don't warm up. It's like, well, I really don't by most people's standards. And I also didn't show all my band pull-aparts. Band pull-aparts are kind of one of my normal warm-ups now. Probably the only thing I'm not showing other than an occasional first rep. But other than one rep on my squat, I showed all my warm-ups. So I did 325 for my second rep. Deadlift, I showed my 405 warm-up rep. So what I did today, I did a little bit of reverse pyramid training. I wanted to get these workouts fast, and I'm kind of experimenting with this a little. I've been doing a lot of 10s. I've messed with 5x5 for my main lifts. I think for a little while I'm trying to cut, I'm going to mess some with heavier reverse pyramids on my top 4 lifts and then just do a ton of pump work after. Right? Get all my hypertrophy stuff after. It's a viable strategy. It's stuff I've messed with stuff like this before. So again, I thought I would just tinker with it a little on my main lift so that I'm kind of getting some of the volume that I'd like to get, but still getting a little bit of heavy work. And I think it can work. This sort of stuff works well back and forth on your big lifts, right? I wouldn't really do this on smaller stuff. And this is where I would differ with someone like Birkin, who has successfully used this sort of protocol of, I still think we need a lot of pump work for our weak links. And that's just how I feel. But that pump work doesn't take a long time. And the same thing with these. When these breaks are short, these are so easy. So like I did a 375 for 5. I went down to like 345, and I'm talking minute and a half breaks, instead of my 3-4 minute breaks on heavy sets. And, again, I just dropped down to, I went 375, right? Then 345, then 325. But it was really, really, really fast. It's just like bam, bam, bam. Okay. Same thing. I did a little longer pauses on the last set. And I think if you're going to use this sort of protocol, your idea should always be to try to get stronger on the heaviest set. And again, I will state with this sort of training, I don't think it's ideal for novice lifters by any means. You need to be advanced enough to really be hitting upper threshold fibers effectively through your whole training. Okay. I don't recommend this sort of training for a novice. I really don't. You probably should have a little bit of a base. And again, we come over to, we still need a lot of pump work. So like in my case, if I'm going to mess with this, it's going to be a bunch of pump work for my arms and calves. Okay. And I think calves particularly are one of those I'm messing with a lot more these days, only because, again, for cutting, I think there's merits to building your calves up. I think it makes cutting easier. The other thing I'm going to note, I'm unhappy with the amount of water. I feel extra water I'm holding around the waistline with what I'm eating, so I may make some minor adjustments to my diet again. It's kind of one of the benefits of training shirtless on camera all the time. I can really see and assess what's going on week to week, day to day a little bit. Yeah, definitely noticing some of that, so I need to make an adjustment. So there was my warm-up rep on the deadlift. All right, we went to 500. I did 5 reps. 445 for my second set. I only did 3 instead of going for 5. I'm like, I just felt fatigued. I guess because I did such a short break. I just changed the plates, threw some more chalk on, and went back over. Again, but it felt good stimulation. And then for the last set, I dropped down to 405. And quite frankly, I left reps in the tank. But again, we're coming off of a top set. I feel like we're in a good place. And I can honestly say, even though I like having a bigger deadlift, if I can do 500 for 5 beltless at any point, I'm still probably plenty big and plenty strong, not that worried. I know you guys have seen me do more. All right, I've done I'm not sure about beltless though. I think that's the real question. Got to go back and check what I've done for rep work beltless. But that 445, it felt a little taxing right after doing that. And then the 405 was almost just a wind down set. It's just like, let's just come in and do a few reps just to maintain the flow of this. And then I did feel like I wanted a little bit of hamstring work after. So in between my calf raises, I did a couple sets of glute ham raises. Again, just want to make sure my hamstrings are getting enough work, because we can argue that quads get hit hard on the squats. We know they do. I think they get worked on conventional deadlifts personally. Okay, I could do nothing but conventional deadlifts and still have quads. But again, that's genetics. Hamstrings, though, I do want to make sure they're not getting neglected. And if I'm going to keep the volumes a little more moderated on the top stuff, I can get away with it. Calves, though, we came in and did a bunch of volume. But you guys see what I mean, even with this pair of shorts, and what I mean with the low back. I feel like I'm holding a lot more water in general. Now, granted, some of these are the particular pairs of shorts. But it's worth noting. And I think if I make some adjustments, I should see some of that drop off next week. Okay. Again, it's the case of just adjusting and tightening my diet, you know. But we have to remember that is where I'm going to hold both body fat and water, that loose skin area. So if I get any shift in water weight, that's where it's all going to go. If I get any gain in body fat, or any body fat that's holding on, that's where it's going to go. And again, I know that it can tighten up, because again, when I've done the water cuts, I've seen all of that disappear when I've done water cuts for powerlifting meets. So again, it's the way my body, when aldosterone or anything goes up, that is where my body just wants to put everything, including water retention. You know, this is what it is. And you get people who make silly comments, or they'll say silly stuff like, "Oh, that's estrogen." It's like, other than I don't have a high estrogen in my blood work. Just noting that. So that would be really a silly statement. I've occasionally seen haters say that. No, it's just because I've been fat, and that's where the most fat stores stay. I've lost over 100 pounds. But again, I kind of know what's going on with it. I know to adjust. So I'm going to go into all the details on camera, what I'm going to do with the diet. I like to make fixes, assess, and then explain sometimes afterwards what I've had to do. Again, because instead of, hey, let me tell you what I'm going to do, let's just do what I'm going to do. And then we can just see what happens, you know. But some of these, because I ended up doing a couple sets of the calf raises between some of these sets of glute ham raises, because I knew the GHRs, I was not going to be able to do a lot of them. I just get such a ridiculous pump in my hamstrings. But calves, I want to be transparent here. I dropped the weight a little. Since I had the squat bar on there, I'm like, I don't want to do 325. Let's just leave 2 plates on with the squat bar for 235, and let's see if we can get 15s. And I did for the first 4 sets. The last set, I could not get to 15. I mean, 12 and 13 were struggling, and I think I got like a half rep for 14. I just hit all-out muscle failure by then. But I think calves are one of those, just like arms, where I'm going to want to put a little more volume. Get that pump work in. All right, get that pump work in. But we'll see how things are looking next week. I know what I want to adjust with my diet a hair. But yeah, so we ended up doing a reverse pyramid for 3 sets on beltless back squats, conventional deadlifts, and then I did 2 sets of glute ham raises, 5 sets of high rep calf raises. Ended up doing just 2 sets of hanging leg raises. I'm still adjusting to what I'm doing with the training a little, and I didn't want to cramp up again like I did the other day when I did 4 sets. 3 is a good place. But again, 2 sets was good, considering I did squatting and deadlifting today, both for a little bit of volume. But I do want to build that up too. I feel like, again, ab and core work is one of those areas we can definitely do quite a bit more volume, because it's not impacting recovery the same way. All right, we do have to watch what we do on the squatting and deadlifting. I think particularly if I'm going to do multiple sets of deadlifts, I need to be very cognizant of the overall recovery. But I feel like the approach there works because, again, the stimulus, the training stimulus is so high from heavy deadlifts that I can end up doing stuff like drop sets and still feel everything working really hard even on the 3rd set. But again, another example here of just where I'm picking up some of that water. So I'm going to have to adjust the diet, all right? Particularly if I'm wanting to look better on camera as we go. Again, got to market taking you guys from dad bod to daddy. But overall, good workout. Pretty happy with it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.